between the red pill and the blue pill is what I call the abyss. The abyss is when guys get stuck in the abyss. They're stuck in the anger phase and they can't get
Mhm.
out of it.
So thinking about that, especially related to like the actual relationship, actually just in general, whether guys are married, dating, or even single,
Mm,
after 23, I think you said 23 years of kind of operating in this space,
mm.
what do you honestly believe is like the most common issues that you would see affecting men right now?
Um, well, usually it's guys trying to rebuild themselves or rebuild their lives. That's actually why I did reignite my group and my book. Right, it's to help
Mhm.
guys sort of like they need something actionable. They need some kind of utility. And it's one thing for me to give guys data, and this is the hardest part of like being sort of in my space because the red pill kind of, as far as I'm concerned, the red pill and myself kind of exist in this really kind of weird in between realm between like trad cons and like pickup artists or somewhere or incels and positivity guys, right? So we're kind of in
Mhm.
between all of this because I'm very famous for saying this. It's like I'll comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. I'll I'll punch left and I'll punch right if I see that you need a swift kick in the ass, right? And it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
out of love, but a lot of the times when I get guys who will come to me, they come to the space. Remember, we don't advertise. There's no billboards on the freeway saying, hey, read the rational Male." It's very hard to advertise a book like and make it
Mhm.
worthwhile. I have to Twitter's actually my only, well, Twitter and Instagram are really my only mediums for advertising the book. And I have to be careful about spending money because usually the money I spend cuts into my royalties. So it has to be word of mouth. It has to be popular enough that people really love it so that they'll pass it
Mhm.
on. But usually there's a few different problems that guys come into the space for. First of all, is they want to get laid or they
Yeah.
want to have, that's where it starts.
Mhm.
I understand, it's the physical side of they want to get laid, or they want to date, or they want physical intimacy, or they want just some girl to touch them on the arm.
Yeah,
They
right.
want just sort of like Kino, right? They want like the milk of human kindness or something like that
Mhm.
because they just don't. It's so affection is so ultra rare right now that that's you want to know why OnlyFans is such a seductive immersive experience for guys and that they're willing to spend small fortunes on is because it simulates what they're missing, which is just connection, human connection, right? And
Wow.
so people say, oh, all you're doing, Rolo, is you're just teaching guys to go get laid and get their dicks wet and everything like that. I'm like, well, sometimes that's where it starts, but then once you get into the red pill and once you start like learning stuff and once you start becoming aware and you understand what your strengths are and you understand what your weaknesses are, usually it's guys who have other problems besides just getting laid. And so
Mhm.
it's like, okay, well, how can we help you with your style? How can we help you with your mindset? How can we help you with your mental point of origin, right? How can we
Yeah.
help you with your burden of performance? How can I help you with your frame, right? There's like so many different aspects. So usually it's that guys want to do that. Or if they're married, it's like, how do I get my wife to have sex with me again? Like, I
Mm.
don't want I love your work, Rollo. I've been awakened while married. I don't want to divorce my wife. And not because it's cheaper to keep her, but because I'm really in love with her. It's just that she hasn't touched me or been affectionate with me in 10 years.
Whew.
So either I am going to leave this situation, or we're staying together for the kids, right?
Mhm.
Either I'm leaving and divorcing this woman who I don't want to divorce because I am just starving for, connection and intimacy. And so that's the only option. Usually it's women who are like the ones who are initiating the divorce in the first place. But
Mhm.
it's usually after a certain amount of time where there hasn't been any real like sexual connection or sort of like even personal, intimate connect. And I mean that in the sort of psychological sense.
Mhm.
And so what they want is from me or the red pill is they want answers. They
Mhm.
go looking for answers. It's like I said, we don't advertise. Hey, come here. We're going to solve all your problems. No,
Mhm.
I have a
Mhm.
problem. I need to go online and find out how to fix it. So, like I've got handwritten notes from guys, and hell, I've got handwritten notes from mothers who have thanked me for saving their sons' lives
Wow.
because they were in really bad places. I've had a guy cry in my arms before, telling me, like, I had a date that I was going to commit carry, right? I was going
Wow.
to self delete, right?
Wow.
And I canceled that because I was looking for answers, and I discovered your book, and now my kids still have a father as a result of your book, right? That's
Mhm.
There's nothing more satisfying to me to hear that.
Mm.
You want to know what they're looking for, what their problems are. It's usually because they're hopeless. They're
Mhm.
hopeless in their marriages. They're hopeless in the fact that they're going to ever be able to find any perfect girl, have some virgin bride from the Amish Dutch country somewhere. Well, let's talk about that. Why do you think that? Right?
Mhm.
Not. I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in behavioral psychology. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's I'm not a I don't have a doctorate.
Mhm.
I've been doing this for so long that I can give you a good analysis of all of this. But usually it's how do I get a girlfriend? How do I get my girlfriend back? How do I get my wife back? How do
How
I
I
get
get them to
my wife
sleep
to
with me.
have sex with me again?
Yeah.
Those are usually the starting points for a lot of it, or else they're sort of, like I said, cut from the incel cloth, meaning that they're just despondent and nihilistic, and they're what I call they're never able to sort of cross the abyss.
Mm.
Between the red pill and the blue pill is what I call the abyss. And
Yeah.
you have to go through like the 5 stages, really 6 stages, but 5 stages of unplugging
Mhm.
from your old blue pill, from the matrix, right? From unplugging from your old way of thinking. And usually I compared that with the 5 stages of grief, right? So
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
someone dies or you're facing your own mortality, you go through, denial, anger, for
Mhm.
acceptance, hopefully you get to acceptance. But there's a point where, like, I think a lot of people criticize the red pill and say those guys are so angry, it's red pill rage and everything. It's like they're not angry at women, they're angry at themselves for not
Yes.
having seen it sooner.
Yes. For
And
not
so
understanding women sooner.
what happens
Go
is
ahead, yeah.
the abyss is when guys get stuck in the abyss, they're stuck in the anger phase and they can't get
Mhm.
out of it. And so therefore it's like, oh, they're all whores, or
Mhm.
the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Everybody just go there. Oh, you can live a good life without sex, or just jerk off and buy a dog and whatever. It's like, to me, that's a practice. If that
It's
works for
true.
you, then please, there's nothing I'm going to tell you, but like I don't
Mhm.
see that as like sort of a satisfying way of life. But that's just me.